So I'd like to introduce myself and my co-creators of the School for Seasonal Living. I'm Paul Wang.
I'm Rebecca Kim.
And I'm Belinda Liu.
So there were a lot of serendipities that allowed my own sort of life experience and all the transmissions and teachings that I've alchemized to be able to connect to the beautiful container that is co-created by Belinda and Rebecca. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for you all to join us.
So I've actually been practicing Sifu Paul's system of self-cultivation for a few years now, and there are so many benefits and results I've received from it. I would say one of the biggest ones for me, in addition to like sleeping better, my chronic anxiety going away, I would say my favorite one of them all is that my inner mystic blossomed, and that inner sense, inner guide that was leading me in the right direction got stronger and stronger, clearer and clearer, to the point that now it's like when I don't know something or I don't have something in my life, all I have to do is tap into that inner mystic and boom, I'm able to manifest or bring forth everything I need. People, resources, and inspired messages. I was during my practice, my self-care cultivation practices, and deep in meditation, I suddenly had a vision of myself being in a forest somewhere by the mountain. I clearly saw a mountain, but I had no idea where this place was. It came with this very strong feeling of like, oh, I have to be there right now, but I have no idea where. And of course, it just so happens a few days later on a regular Zoom call that we were having, you had just casually mentioned, oh, I just bought some land in Mount Shasta. And as soon as I heard that name, I was like, that's the place. That's the place I have to go to right now, even though I'd never even heard of the place. I've never been there. So of course I looked it up, and also in my meditations, I was specifically inspired to look up Mount Shasta Retreat Center, and that led me to find Hestia, which was my landing place when I came to visit. And it was really like coming home, because once I got here, what was supposed to be a week-long sabbatical turned into a month-long stay, and my life, like, it sounds kind of trite, but really changed in that 1 month, in that I knew I was meant to be living here and working here, and then doing practices, the self-cultivation practice on the land here, just brought me my practice and my well-being to a whole new level, because, you know, here I was surrounded by beautiful nature, our amazing trees here that really talk to you and like share their energy, healing energy with you. And I had such an amazing experience on the land here in Mount Shasta at Hestia Retreat Center. So I would love to hear from Belinda. Belinda, why don't you share with everyone more details about the land here?
Well, I'm so honored that we get to capture the beauty and the sacredness of land here through this transmission of the School for Seasonal Living. And I would say 9 years ago, I was living in a big city, feeling like I needed to find peace and calm and home within myself, just like you shared, Rebecca. And I magically stumbled upon Mount Shasta as well, and realized that my destiny was to be a steward of land, which was something that I had not expected. And the minute that this land here called, I almost felt like it was this invitation to explore a new way of living. And I think that's the most critical part about this idea of School for Seasonal Living, is how do we really hear ourselves in a way where we can really listen to our deepest desires, and what are the things that really help us be our most whole and most highest potential selves. And that's really what I've learned over the past 9 years of stewarding land here, is just watching the changes in the seasons and how the creek sounds change over time, and how to really slow down and get quiet in the winter. And those were things that I never could understand in the city, where everything was humanly controlled and designed and comfortable and bright. And so learning to be, in particular, more in the fall and the winter seasons through this land has taught me how to come back into balance again. And as a retreat center, one of the things that we have been really focused on is how do we build a community around this way of life where it becomes a culture, where we don't say, oh, modern life is so hard. There's so much stress and suffering, but we say, wow, we can really live in the way of nature in modern times. And so I'm really grateful that, Rebecca, you connected me and Paul, and for us to be inspired to actually create this culture that really nurtures nature, and a way for all of us to be transformed through these really simple yet profound practices. And Paul, the minute that I experienced your ways of healing and transforming through some very old wisdom traditions that you hold, I knew that this was the way that we were going to learn this and create this culture, is through this systematic approach of living with each season and understanding the cycles of change within us, so that we don't have to feel overwhelmed, overcome by change. We can actually be true masters of the change in our lives. So how does it feel, Paul, for you after 25 years of training to be able to share this with the world today?
The reason we want to make this an online container is that wherever you are in the world, there are sacred places. And ultimately, you internalize that you are sacred, and you can connect to that source center within. And so my intention, we talk a lot about that, is just to be of service, and I like to say to be well used by whatever you call it, the greater. Imperfectly, as a human, right, with my flaws and weaknesses, and also the limitations of language and speech and even technology, to try to transmit some of the energy, some of the presence that doesn't make me special. It's something that we all have access to, but lack the portals or the tools or the skills to be able to have a first-hand, first-person experience with. And as we continue along this journey, I look forward to sharing many, many practical principles and exercises which will help you to connect to everything we shared and inspire you to actualize your potential. So let's begin.